Hello there. So today I'll be talking about iShares MSCI Japan ETF, EWJ. So what exactly is this and why am I talking about this today? So EWJ tracks a market cap with an index of Japanese stocks, right? The fund covers roughly 85% of the investable universe of securities traded in Japan. And EWJ provides broad exposure to the Japanese equity market. It was the first Japan-focused ETF to launch in 1996 and quickly became the bellwether for US-based investors wanting Japanese market exposure. Wow. So the fund excludes the bottom 15% of Japanese companies by market cap, which tilts it's slightly larger than our broad benchmark. So, to cut a story short and to just tell you why this is really good, iShares MSCI Japan ETF has the MSCI ECG fund rating of A based on a score of 6.37 out of 10, which is quite impressive, right? So, as I said, the fund's pair, rank reflects the ranking of a fund's MSCI ECG fund quality score against the scores of other funds within the same pair group, as defined by the Thomson Reuters, Lipper Global Classification. iShares MSCI Japan ETF ranks in the 65th percentile, within its pair group. Wow. And in the 67th percentile, within the global universe of all funds covered by the MSCI ECG fund ratings, right? So now let's talk a little about the portfolio data, right? So you can see that the weighted average market cap is $40.55 billion. Wow. And the price and earning ratio is actually 21.49. The price slash book ratio is 1.22. The distribution yield is 1.98%, and the next ex dividend date is actually 14th of December 2020, and the number of holdings it has 322. Wow. So now let's talk about what it entails in full, right? You can get a C based on it comparisons, right? You can see EWJ versus pair comparisons. You can see brand iShares. You can see expense ratio 0.49 to 0.19, 0.22 for YTD return to 0.41, and so on. You can get a C. But I wanted you to pay attention to something really good here, right? You can get a city chart, right? Based on the economic situation all over the world, it affected the stock market in general, right? And you can get to see that it's quite shaky. It's been going up, and once it goes up, it goes up you know in full. You can see it goes up right here and all the way up, and it comes down again, tries to go up again, comes down, so on. And from here, as of 2003, it went up all the way up, just went down a little, went up, came down again, and 2007 came down, went up again, and you can see that it's quite good. So when you see charts like this, it's advisable to just buy on a long-term basis, except you think maybe something really bad is going to hit, but we really don't know if. So now, let's see for 5 years, for example, what it entails, right? You can get to see that for 5 years, it's actually not bad. You can see, except for what happened, due to the pandemic, when it started, everything crashed, and you can see that it peaked up. You can see that it's actually still going up again. It's really doing well. So now let's talk about this EWJ, right? For 1 month, you can get to see, if you decide to maybe trade on this for just 1 month, you can get to see that you have, for example, approximately 2.24%, and the performance for 3 months is actually 4.14%. You know, for 1 year, 5.60%, 3 years, 3.80%, and for 5 years, 7.02%, and for 10 years, 5.92%. So what are you waiting for? I'll advise you to just invest on a long-term basis. If I were you, I'll just go for 5 years, since it's actually quite promising. So now you can see that EWJ top 10 countries, just strictly Japan, 100%. And here are the list of top 10 sectors. Industrials, 25.63%. It entails consumer cyclicals, that's for 16.44%. Technology, 12.89%. Financials, 11.87%. Healthcare, 10.96%. Consumer, non-cyclical, 8.49%. Telecommunications, 7.32%. Basic materials, 4.28%. Utilities, 1.50%. Energy, 0.60%. And here are the, top 10 holdings, right? They have Toyota Motor Corporation, so they produce these automobiles and so on. So they have Sony Corporation, they have SoftBank, Group Corporation, they have Keyence Corporation, Nintendo. If you're familiar with Nintendo, those who played games or those who still play games, you know, and Takeda Pharmaceuticals, Daiichi Sankyo.com, Recruit Holdings, Mitsubishi, which is actually an automobile company as well, and Shinetsu Chemicals. So you can see that this actually entails group of really big companies that are out there and that are quite lucrative, right? So now let's take a look at the portfolio. You can see the portfolio expense ratio is 0.49%, median tracking difference, you know, 0, negative 0.39%, max upside deviation for 12 months actually negative 2 point, 0.28%, and max downside deviation for 12 months is 0.47. So now let's take a look at the daily speed. Wow, you can see that this is quite, balanced in a way, right? You can see that it's just straight line, and at this point, as of March, it went up, and you see it came down. Still, it's still leveled, right? You can see here that people are actually still trading it, and it's quite good. And you can get to see the volume based on the months. You can see the people traded the most around February and as of June, still, and up till now, people are still trading it. And wow, you can get to see the industry breakdown. Now you can see the industry has the largest, approximately 25.63%. And you can see the rest as listed below, right? You can get to see everything here. And I think you should key into this because it's actually a good one, right? So you can get to pay attention to something here again. You can get to see the EWJ benchmark comparison summary. You can get to see right here. So let me show you based on the ratings on another website, right? So if you check investing.com, right, this is what it looks like. It actually goes for 58.76, which is the last actually the last price it went for. And if you look at the chart like I showed before, you can see it's actually not bad. It's actually okay. And one good thing is this: they pay dividends, right? You can see that the dividend yield is actually 1.99%, approximately 2%. And you can get to see that the dividends TTM is 0.13, right? And like I said before, you can get to see the market cap 9.91, billion, and the total assets 19.34 billion. So the day's range is actually 58.16 to 58.76, and it opened, right? It's open right now at 58.3, and the previously closed at 58.67. So it's actually gained, right? So it's actually a good one, and it's something you should key into and get to see, because people are actually trading this, and for it to have this much market cap, you should know that it's a good one. So I would just advise you, if you really don't know what to invest in, you can just try to pick one of these companies listed here. Should it be Toyota Motor Corporation, or maybe Sony Corporation, which is which has one of the biggest percentages here. So for example, Toyota, that has 3.98%, you can just decide to invest in it, or Sony Corporation, and I'm sure everything is going to be fine. And you can get to see the tickers for everything once you just key them right into the trading platform and get to trade them. So I would just tell you, you don't need to wait for anything anymore. Just trade on this. If you're looking for one of the best ETFs to trade on the Japanese exchange, I'll just advise you to go for iShares MSCI Japan, because you know it's really, aside the fact that it's the first that was traded, is actually really good, and people are really trading. It has a huge market cap, and it has a very good average daily volume. People get it traded a lot, and it's quite lucrative. So should you have any questions or any ideas or anything you might want to know for further use, you can just put your comments right there, and